Okay, we've got a couple of different things planned for this evening. As you can see, I'm sitting in a different seat for tonight, hopefully for the future. Mary Jo, you're on.
Okay, I call the meeting to order. This meeting of the Hopkinton Select Board is being held both in person and remotely using video conference platform Zoom. All members are in the meeting room. All members participate in the meeting are present in the room. The public has the option of attending in person here at the Town Hall or via Zoom and using the link posted in the meeting agenda. This meeting is being recorded. Okay, we don't have any members remote tonight. And I guess we'll open with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Connor.
Okay, and then we open up the meeting to public comment. Anyone here?
Good evening, everyone. Irfan Nasrullah, 211 Winter Street. I could not miss your last day today, Mary Jo, and I just wanted to, take a few moments to say, you provided such valuable insight, unique insight into issues that I had never really considered, and you were a true asset to the board, and I think you're going to be sorely missed. So I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done. And good luck in the future endeavors.
I thank you, and we could use another Irfan around here, too.
Well, you might have to wait till it's Cyrus. So.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Sorry for jumping in, Amy. I saw you run up.
Right.
Connor Deegan, 48 Hillcrest Drive. Mary Jo, I just wanted to step up here to say thank you for the years of service, not just to the Select Board, but the decades of service to the community. I've had the pleasure of serving with you over the course of your different hats in town, and I'll say it's been really great to work with someone who has the breadth of municipal experience that you have as well, and the perspective that you can bring to the board on that. So thank you for being that person on the board, being that voice. I think it's been great for the people in Town Hall to know that there's someone who brings that breadth of experience, and we appreciate all the work you do, and I can't wait to see you back in my office helping out too, so don't think you're getting off too easy.
I'll be back soon.
Well, Mary Jo,
Hey,
unbelievable.
it is.
It's been a lot of years, and good ones at that.
And a lot of jackets and a lot of everything, yeah.
We started out, I remember meeting you at one of the Marathon Committee meetings with several members of the founding members of the committee years ago, and you and Rosemary Lynch were the ones who actually recommended that I become chair way back when. And I had just been on the committee a short time. I had gone to meetings, things like that on my own, but I just appreciated the faith that you put in me. But I also want to thank you for all the years. We can reflect back. I remember the Korean church, you with the elite runners down there, and boy, nobody was getting by you and your team, because people don't realize that these elite runners are so focused that morning, and if you don't have good people, good volunteers manning different areas and protecting their privacy and just letting them warm up that morning and things like that. But then you came over to the VIP and actually gave out information all weekend long for many years, helped out with the information booth on the Common. There's just so many things. I mean, yeah, you've been on the select board for a number of years, but, you know, that's what people like when they come to a community. I moved here from Needham years ago, and I just fell in love with the quaint little common and went on from there. But then it was the people like you and others that I met throughout the town that just made it so much nicer. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the Marathon Committee and all those who have served, past and present. You've really been, you know, influential in a lot of decisions. You know, it all starts here sign goes way back, and you've been a champion for that. It just, there's so many things. And, you know, our team kind of operates in the background, kind of like, so, but it's nice to be, you know, have somebody that really goes to bat for you. And that's what you've done for many, many years as our liaison. And I just want to thank you on behalf of the committee. And personally, on behalf of myself, I just thank you for all the years of friendship, and I wish you all the best going forward.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary Jo. So I just wanted to say my first memory, I think, of you was in, I don't know even know if you remember, but in 2013, I ran for school committee, and I went to the Meet the Candidates night, and you were running for re-election to the Board of Assessors, I think, at that time. And I really appreciate how you didn't have an opponent, and I did, and I was very nervous. But and since you didn't have an opponent, you explained to everybody. I didn't know what the Board of Assessors was. I was running for school committee, and I had been to many school committee meetings, but I didn't know about the assessors. But you explained it to the whole audience. You used your time, since you didn't have an opponent, to tell what the Board of Assessors did, why it was important, and why it mattered to the community. And I really appreciated that way that you had. And I've really enjoyed serving with you the last 5 years. And we're going to miss you next year.
And I thank you for all your rides.
And on behalf of the board and the Marathon Committee, we have some gifts for you to thank you for your service. And the town manager, too.
What is this? My eyes operated on yesterday morning. And so these, oh, thank you so much. I really like these to go with my bracelet. That's very pretty. It's Boston 26.2, Boston Marathon gold piece, and a chain that goes with it. Very nice. Thank you very much. And thank the Marathon Committee for me. What?
Something in the
Hello, Mary Jo. The day has come that we didn't anticipate for a long time, but I wanted to just express my gratitude and thanks for all your service and appreciation for your remarkable work in public for such a long time. Throughout this time on the Select Board, you have been an unwavering advocate for our seniors and passionate promoter of our iconic marathon. I have truly valued your perspective and have learned so much from your perspectives on senior issues, which has greatly influenced my own advocacy. You have always been a supportive and thoughtful colleague, and I deeply appreciate the positive impact you have had on our community. As you move forward, I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and thank you again for your dedicated service to Hopkinton. All the best, and we are always here for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We started out this together a couple of years ago, remember?
I like being over here. It's much calmer. Mary Jo, thank you for your years of service. It's not an easy job. We all know that. And I know you've been through some tough times. You've been through some really good times on the board as well. But it's a ride for all of us. and I think you've handled it extremely well and always been poised and made a real difference in this town, and we appreciate it very much on behalf of all the citizens of Hopkinton. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Okay.
Don't forget the other bag.
There's one more bag there for you.
One more bag. Oh, I love it. Patriots Day. That's a good one. Yes. Oh, my marathon shirts. For this year, 50 years. Oh. Isn't that nice? Huh? The start line. Ooh. This is my color.
Does anybody know the reference of
Boston.
that shirt? Boston?
That's here on the back.
Please enlighten us.
Huh? Does anybody know the story behind that Boston shirt that the Boston Red Sox wear? You know, the yellow with the blue? If you look at the B of the Boston, it's 13. It's 2013 in reference to what we went.
On this one here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
13.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
The back that has the sign.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
It's quite the bag of goodies.
I got a sweatshirt.
Look at this.
You can always use a sweatshirt. This is great. Thanks, Dottie. Thank you, Chuck. And the committee. Thank everybody. And these I will keep and wear a lot because they're my last ones.
On those beach days.
Huh?
On those beach days.
Yeah.
Cool beach days.
Take them to the Cape. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Do you have anything you would like to share during public comment, Mary Jo?
Well, it's been a long road. I came to town 47 years ago, and I met Rosemary Lynch, and she dragged me to a lot of things and got me started. And I'm happy to say I have participated in town for 42 years this year. It's a long time. I was on the Board of Assessors and the Trust Fund Commission and the Tax Relief Committee and just many. And I loved every minute of it. And the best one is Marathon Committee. That was great. It was a lot of hard work, actually, but I've met so many people. I can actually say I had lunch with Catherine Nadreba and her daughter, and she won it 4 times. So, you know, and you get to know people. Meet Bill Rogers and a few others like that. Bob Hall was we just gave him a recognition the other night. He was on our committee. He was the first of our wheelchair participants. So that's been good. And now, just recently, or in the past few years, I've been on the Marathon Fund Committee. And at our last meeting, we gave out 6 scholarships to kids in town. And did we do 8 this year? 6, 8. And that's been a nice group to belong to. And I really, you know, and then I got on this board. And it's been enlightening, and it's been a job, and yet it's been fun. And I've appreciated all the people that I've met and the people that I work with, and both past and present. They've been some wonderful people in this town. I mentioned Rosemary Lynch, but Marge Wright was on the first first tent out there that I was in. She was here in the selectman's office at one time, and just so many people. I can't mention them all, and but I do appreciate everybody, and I thank you.
Great. Thank you. With that, we will continue with the meeting. I'm going to sit here. Mary Jo's going to stay right there, and we're going to move through the agenda. Perhaps not as swiftly as some move through town meeting, but we will get it done in short order. Okay. With that, item number 3 is the consent agenda. We have minutes from April 22nd, 2025, a new employee for the town manager's appointment of Man Zhuang as a part-time food service worker, a parade permit for the Hopkinton Center for the Arts, the Pride Parade, which will be on June 21st from 1 to 4 p.m. The event will start at HCA, and there are no road closures requested. The Marathon Fund Committee requests, as Mary Jo just mentioned, the Select Board will consider approving the following Marathon Fund Committee requests in the packet. And then item E is a farmer's market alcohol license. The Select Board will consider approving a Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 15F, farmer's market license for Aranap, I think it is, Sellers, LLC of Westford, Mass, to sell at the farmer's market on Sundays from June 1 to October 5th, 2025. And also Spicy Water Distillers, LLC of Millbury, Mass., also for the Hopkinton Farmers Market on Sundays from June 1, 2025 to October 5th, 2025. Does anybody have anything in the consent agenda they would like to break out? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Mr. Chair, I would like to move the consent agenda as written.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous, and so carries. Item number 4 on the agenda, municipal bond anticipation notes approval and bond issuance approval. I believe we have a couple of our colleagues from the Treasurer's Office and the finance team here to discuss with us. Please.
The most fun time of the year, right?
Before you guys go, though, if you would just be so kind and introduce this topic for ourselves and the rest of the viewers.
Sure. So our town treasurer and chief financial officer are here to talk about, they're planning to go out for issuance of a short-term bond anticipation notes and long-term bond, and they'll tell us about that and the bond rating process that they're going through.
Okay, thank you. Please, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Mary, congrats. I hope you enjoyed your time. Thank you for always being supportive of our office. We appreciate it. All right, so to jump into it, as Elaine mentioned, we have a short-term and a long-term borrowing this year. And there's a few reasons for that, but we'll just jump into it. So the short-term borrowing this year is in the amount of $81,025,000. The projects are listed on the memo that I provided. We looked at cash flows for each project this year to assure appropriate borrowing amounts. As you know, the schools have 2 very sizable projects going on, so we actually have been kind of prepaying for those projects. Most of what we're borrowing for the short-term ban is paying the town back for money that we've used to cover the construction costs to date. There's about half, so we're paying ourselves back for half, and they expect to spend the other half rather quickly into '26.
Can you repeat that number again, please?
Yeah, so the total is 81 million, but that's broken down into a few different projects. So Elmwood is 30 million and Hopkins is 43 million.
And this is only a subset of what the required amount is for the
Right.
total projects. So this is the first large amount that we have for schools.
So this is what we've been talking about for a couple of years now.
Yes.
Here it is.
We're at the point. So this is the first of probably 3 borrowings we'll do for the schools, but obviously we're trying to limit the amount that we borrow until we absolutely need to. So we're trying to kind of find the middle ground of, okay, we need the money to stay afloat, but we also don't want to borrow above and beyond that and have extra money that we didn't need to borrow. And then for the long-term borrowing, it's a $9.4 million bond. All the projects are broken down there. These are all projects that obviously were approved at prior town meetings, and they have been fully spent or finished. Some of the projects were approved for more than what is spent if you looked at the articles, but that doesn't mean that they're still spending money. It's just that those projects have been completed. They didn't need the full authorization. And so some questions have came up. Why are we issuing a long-term bond? To make it simple for budgeting, we had so many projects last year that were rolled into a ban that have been rolled over year after year. We're on our fourth year, fifth year for some of these projects. It's time to get them into a long-term bond with a solid interest rate and lock them into an amortization schedule to help us with our budgeting, especially with the amount of short-term borrowing we expect to have to do in the next 3 years. The less we have that's rolling every year, the better. Bans after 3 years require a principal pay down, and it can be really hard to kind of calculate what that pay down is going to be with the different projects. So bids are due next week, so we don't have details about interest rates or premiums yet. We came to you first because of how large it is this year, so we wanted to give you the heads up. We'll be back on June 3rd to go over the details about the premium, the interest rates, and how the bidding process went. We do expect, but we can't obviously guarantee that will be about 4.5% for both. We don't know what the premium will be. We can't say for certain until we get those bids back. On May 6th, so last week, we met with S&P Global Ratings to review our closing disclosure and prior fiscal year finances. The closing disclosure is something I complete every year, and it covers almost every aspect of town, from your largest employer to your largest taxpayer, your collection rates, etc. It's basically the town's report card. We just received back today for the ban and bond, because they're rated separately. Hopkinton was rated SP1+, which is the best for the short-term ban, and AAA for the bond. So we're still at our good rating. I did want to talk about that while we were here. So we have the best ratings now. It's based on a few different criteria. There's, just like your credit score, they look at different things, right? And then they look at different factors, and they come up with a rating through that. To keep us where we are, we really need to focus on making contributions to our reserves, principal pay downs if possible to outstanding bonds or bans, contribute as much to our OPEB, which is considered a liability. So one of the factors that they look at is your debt and liabilities. So debt and liabilities is one line. So even though OPEB is not a debt, it is still a liability. It's only 53% funded. So we still need to fund 47% of it. So the more we contribute to that, which we are contributing a pretty large number this year, we're contributing, I think it was $5 million to OPEB?
No, 875.
Oh, 875.
875.
It's a sizable number that will help. We were also contributing, I think it's $5 million to capital stabilization. That looks good for S&P too. So the more we do things like that, the better to kind of help with keeping our rating the same. It's obviously unavoidable that we have to borrow this debt. It was approved. The schools are being built. There's nothing we can do about that, but we can try to keep up with our rating, which, as you know, makes a big difference as far as the interest rate goes. So we can't say exactly what the interest rate would be at a AAA or a AA plus. I don't know what the difference would be. We wouldn't know until we receive bids. But we do know that it's pretty sizable. So that's it for now. I think the town should just try to focus on being not as stingy, but as responsible as we can with spending for the next few years. It's going to be hard to take on additional debt with the amount of debt we're taking on for the school.
Great. Anything else? Good? Questions? Mrs. Ritterbusch?
I don't think I have any questions. It's very well explained, and we know we voted for all these things, and this has to be done, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the explanation. The only real question I had was, do you guys have any recommendations? Like, I get the idea, right? Like paying down some of the debt, paying into OPEB. With the limited resources we have, do you have any ideas on like how we can do this better and as
Yeah.
opposed to like just stopping spending?
Right. So, one of the things that when I was talking to our fiscal financial advisors about is, when we look at free cash next year and we say, okay, this is what we want to present to town meeting, this is what we want to use free cash towards, you can always opt to make a principal pay down on a loan, a bond from free cash. So maybe at some point it'd be a good idea to look at that and just see if it's feasible, if it's possible at all. But the more obviously we pay off, the better. Help offset the cost of the new debts.
The only bond that's eligible to be paid down is 2016. So when we were talking about using free cash, when we were building the FY26 budget, we did talk about paying down, and we looked at 2013 and 2016. We paid $500,000 to the 2013, so the only one eligible is 2016 now.
So that's Joe?
Yeah, I'm good for now.
Mary
Thank you.
Jo?
I'm going to pass to you.
Okay. Mr. Manon?
Just a couple of questions. First of all, thank you. That's a great overview, and great to hear we have our AAA. Now, during this AAA, I assume the rating agencies did account for the forecasted debts, right, for what's been approved already. Is that correct?
We have to supply them with a lot of financials, including our 5-year capital plan, as well as expected expenditure schedules for each of the projects.
That are approved? Okay,
Right.
good.
So they do look into it. Obviously, there are factors that could change year to year that we don't necessarily know about or can forecast for now. So every year we borrow, we get rated again. I think that we should be okay next year, but things change, Their ratings changed too. They used to rate on a different platform, and they look at different areas and topics now. But all in all, we're in very good shape.
That sounds great, yeah, and I agree. I think the biggest one would be to stay the course on reining in the debt and likely not having any new debt like we did this year.
Right.
And I think with the, some of the pending fund that we expect from Eversource releasing and some of the, stabilization that we have done for CapEx, I'm hopeful that we don't have to. But again, it needs quite a bit of vigilance. So that said, do you foresee any other way to manage the risk or any other risk looming around? So debt, OPEB, those are the big two that we need to watch out for.
Right, those are the big two, and I think the town is understanding of where we are at this point, and they're conscious about it. I think Select Board's conscious about it, Town Manager's office, my office, and the general public. I think we know going forward what we kind of have to stay away from if possible. But as far as everything else goes, those are obviously debt's the biggest topic that they look at, but there are many, many other topics they're looking at, and those are all in great shape. And I predict that those would all stay, at a pretty good shape.
I'm into that. Thank you for your service.
Yep.
Set?
Yep.
You good?
Yep.
So just to play this out a little bit, so we're going to go out and borrow $83 million between now and mid to end of June, something like that, I assume, in this fiscal year before we hit July 1, right?
Yes.
And then we'll get the money, we'll pay ourselves back, we'll pay the contractors, we'll get things going, have the cash flow. This fall, we will then set the tax rate based on that borrowing, as well as our other operating funds and other debt service issues out there, correct? Or debt excluded items out there. So when this will show up in the taxpayer's bill would be approximately when?
Beginning of 26.
Beginning of 26, like January 26 or FY 26?
February, so I think it'd be the third and fourth quarter real estate taxes.
One more time?
The third and fourth quarter taxes.
Which is Q1, Q2 fiscal or calendar year next year.
Calendar year, yep.
Right, okay, so the town's gonna go out and borrow $83 million for construction work on the schools and other projects. And then we're gonna set a tax rate based on that debt service this fall. And then it will show up in the bills of the taxpayers, the homeowners of Hopkinton, starting in January, February of 2026. And then from that point forward, we're going to really feel this through 4 or 5 years out, if I remember the scales correctly.
Then we'll come back a year from now with a new plan to say we need to borrow another,
40 million.
and this will continue for the next couple of years.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. The money's being spent currently. The only thing we can do is be as efficient as possible. So what we're trying to avoid is having to borrow twice in 1 year, because it's very, very costly to borrow. It's very costly to get rated, to have the bids come in, to do all of that work, to go through bond counsel. So being as efficient with our borrowing as possible does help cut costs that way as well.
Got it. Okay, I don't think we need to have any action this evening, correct? This is just to advise us of what's coming, what you're working on, but I think to play it out so that the taxpayers know when this is going to hit is important. So thanks for being here tonight, and I guess we'll see you back here in June.
Yes, June 3rd.
And we'll take a look at some interest rates and other things.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, we're going to do the town manager's report. We do have a public hearing at 6:50 PM, so we've got some time, but we'll want to make sure we land on that at the appropriate hour. Ms. Lazarus.
All right, so first, as has been alluded to, it was a very quick and efficient town meeting, which was a nice evening of civil discourse and efficient conduction of business. So it was a nice town meeting. So thanks to everyone who worked on that and who attended. So going forward, now town staff will work on implementing what was voted, and the budgets and so forth kick in on July 1st. And one of the things we always do in the town manager's office is prepare a tracking document, which we'll put on the website, so we can track the implementation plan for each of the articles that were approved. And it will show when things are accomplished. And typically it takes a couple of years, I think, to work through the entire list and all the projects to be completed. But people can go to the website and see progress on the town meeting articles over the next couple of years.
Okay. Anybody questions, comments on town meeting?
Yeah. I just want to tell everybody how much I appreciate the department heads and the people that worked on the budgets, people here in Town Hall, and the townspeople for showing up and being as good as they were at this town meeting, and that it was all done in one night, so it can be done, and I appreciate it and this board and all the financial people very much. It was a great job by all.
Anybody else?
Just echoing the same, I think this is an example of, how efficiently, but also focusing on all the right issues, we can get things done. So let's keep it as our kind of model town meeting in many ways.
Good.
I did have something to add. I mentioned this to Elaine earlier, but since we did vote to move town meeting to the first Saturday in May, I think we need to start planning for that now and talking to the schools and all the groups in town about how we're going to make that work, because people are not used to having to keep that Saturday free. The gym, or I don't know if the auditorium and gym could already be booked for sports tournaments or the middle school play. So just the sooner we start talking about that with the other organizations in town, I think that would be better.
I'm good. I think it was summed up nicely.
Great. Okay, next item, please, Elaine.
Main Street Corridor Project update. Comcast is still on site doing underground and coax and fiber networks, targeting the end of June to mid-July to complete their work. Verizon has been on site. We're still waiting for a schedule for removal of poles. Amarillo has committed to plantings this spring on parts of the project, but no final schedule yet on that. But we're looking forward to the landscaping being implemented and making the things look a little greener. Would be nice.
Great. Anybody have any questions, comments on the corridor project? All set, thanks.
And finally, town department position vacancies, requesting approval to post the Director of Land Use Planning and Permitting position. This is funded in the FY26 budget, so thought we would get started on the posting and that process, but the person would not be hired until after July 1st. And so this is the reconstituted director position, which was created in the administrative order that created the department in 2010. And we're breaking that out as a separate position, as it hasn't been for a few years.
But to your point, budgeted and passed at town meeting the other night with this position in there.
Correct.
Yep. Okay. Questions, comments on this?
I think just, we don't have exactly, so it's not that somebody resigned, it's that, well, you've switched to the town manager position, and that's why it's kind of been, other people have been doing that work in the town.
Right, and I'm not able to do that anymore.
Okay, so it would just be posted and filled, okay, thanks.
We have a motion.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the posting of the Director of Land Use Planning and Permitting position.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to post the position. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous, so carries. Thank you. Okay, Elaine, anything else?
Just wanted to add, to thank Mary Jo for, I mean, when I came to work here in 1992, Mary Jo was already working here in Town Hall. So it's been a long time. Mary Jo's been a constant presence here at Town Hall off and on, and so we'll miss you, but I'm sure we'll still see you.
I remember your first day
So do I.
as planner.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Item number 6 on the agenda is liaison reports. We'll start with Mr. Manon. Anything?
Nothing new at this moment.
Okay. Mary Jo?
Well, as I said before, I met with the Marathon Fund Committee, and we did 8 scholarships for kids in Hopkinton and decided on these other things that we passed in the consent agenda. And it's nice to do. I love doing the scholarships. It's one of the nicest things we can do.
Okay. All set?
Yep.
Joe?
The one I would bring up about it's probably a week or two ago, the fire chief and police chief led a town-wide with all the department heads tabletop exercise around emergency management and response. And I mean, how many people were in the room? 50, 60?
Or more.
Yeah, so it was really well attended, really well organized. I stayed for probably the first half of it, but it was nice to see all the department heads working together, schools involved, and to take time out of the day to do that. I thought it was excellent, so just wanted to mention that.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Ridbush, anything?
I was just going to say the MIPC's spring meeting is coming up in June, so I'll plan to attend that on behalf of the town. The Commission on Disability has been working hard on publicizing better the person at risk and the Blue Envelope Project, where people, if they have someone in their household that might need special attention in an emergency, they can fill that out. So I just want to make sure people know that they can do that if they have someone in their house that has, you know, like for me with hearing loss, I might not hear it if they're banging on the door at night. But you can fill out a form with the police department, and they'll enter that in the emergency system and can help. And then also the Commission on Disability has been working on an accessible events like guideline to help people know how to make their events more accessible to people with disabilities.
Through the chair, I just remember there were two wonderful events last week. One was the fishing derby by the police department. There was great participation and great community gathering. I enjoyed it with my wife and appreciate all the work that the police department has done for reaching with the community. And the second one was the plant sale that the Hopkinton Garden Club did in the Commons. It was raining, but a very good event and everyone loved it. I got some good plants at a very discounted price too. So thank you for all the work that they're doing.
Great, thanks for catching those. Okay, I think we're good on liaisons. We have 6:50, so we've got 10 minutes or so, 8 minutes. Why don't we move to item number 9 on the agenda, which is the future board agenda items. We'll sort of tick these off together here. Consider the town's approach to economic development. I think town meeting did a nice job there. I think we can take this one off now, the future agenda items, Elaine. I think we've accomplished that, what we hope to do this year, so well done there. The liquefied natural gas. I think this one probably needs to stay here. I'm not sure, we're not quite there yet. We know what's going on with 3, which is the Officer Brennan situation, provide information up to unredacted. I think but that one, we still have to finalize that. No, we did finalize that. Why is that still here?
I think we're going to do another, like a deeper look at using like a software or something in the future, but we didn't have it in the budget, so it was kind of something that we're going to explore moving forward.
Visit that in the summer, I think, when we look at the redactions policy in the summer.
Okay, so we'll leave it there for now. Got it. Okay, that's fine. Thanks for reminding. I understand the options of town council. We were talking about looking at that at the conclusion of this fiscal year, getting into the summer. Okay, we can talk about that further. Update the report from the Commission on Disability. We did not have them come in yet, did we?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, we need to do that. So
With
let's leave that one there. Public safety in schools regarding preparedness. I don't know if that tabletop exercise, Joe, was all about that, but
It wasn't the same as this one.
yeah.
I think there's work to be done here. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be discussed with both of the chief's goals tonight a little bit. So I think for now, leave this. We might be able to adjust it, but it's definitely not done.
Okay. 8 we just covered. FY26 goals, we will set those right after the election. And then impacts of the federal budget changes. I know that we had some concerns with the library team and probably others in town. I don't know if we have any real answers here yet as to how this is all going to play out. Every day it changes again, so we'll just leave that be for now. Everybody good with the future list of future board agenda items we have here today?
I just wanted to add the one about the Saturday town meeting and how we're going to get that publicized and get clear everybody's calendar.
So we'll put that in there, Saturday town meeting prep.
Yep. And it can wait for the summer, whenever we have time.
Okay, got that one. Anybody want to add anything else?
I'm good for now.
Good? Mary Jo, you want to add anything for the future boards you have to work on? You want to give us something to do?
I give you guys a lot of work, but no, I won't.
You're all set? Joe, you good?
I'm good.
Amy, you good? Okay. All right. Item number 10 would be the executive session that we're going to adjourn to, so we won't do that. Item number 8 are those fire chief and police chief goals that we have set for 7. So we have a little bit of time here. We really can't go earlier than this 6:50 p.m., can we?
No.
So we have 5 minutes. It's good that we're ahead of the curve, but we have 5 minutes to hang out. We're going to have a scone if anybody else would like one.
Yeah, there's great cookies here.
We're just going to take a couple minutes here and relax. Jessica, are you here for a particular
They're
reason
delicious.
tonight? You're here for the goals? Got it. Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, no.
They are good.
I'm going to interrupt, but I received my agenda was stating that I would be speaking at around 6:40. I got here around 6:20. I'm Barry Bacon, owner of Spicy Water Distillery, and I apologize for that, but I do have
We already passed that, sir. You're all set.
Really? Okay.
You're all good.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions or anything, I'll be here.
We're all good. Thank you very much. Look, you don't have to stay because we finished it.
Oh, yeah.
We're good.
Voted yes.
Okay, you want one of these? They're really good.
They're really, really good.
Thank you very much.
I have a second one, I didn't eat it.
Pass the ball.
Now it's more like a cookie as it cools. They're so good.
Hey, Chief, you want a Madeline?
Who baked this?
They're delicious.
Amy. She brought them in right out of the oven. They were warm and brought them in earlier.
Passing around some things to sign that you
Oh,
approved.
Oh, yeah, we could do that. All right.
All right, the select board's going to multitask. We're going to sign and eat at the same time. So he could take this with him, couldn't he? Does he need to take it?
No.
Say the 13th.
Elaine, has Verizon started on the poles like on the west side that Comcast already completed? I thought they haven't started anything.
They're getting shorter as
Yeah,
they cut them off, but they won't pull them out until everything's gone on all of them, I think.
It's literally the $1 million question. Because that would, then we could finish over there,
Yeah.
so.
Because aren't they supposed to take them as they go, as they move east? If they like
But they
finish.
haven't come and yanked their stuff yet.
They could take them as they go, will
Because
they?
Comcast has to finish before
know.
they'll go up.
Yeah.
Then they could technically, as they move along, take off the pole, go to the new pole, because they have new poles out there.
No, I
and
get-
pull the pole at the same time as they go, but they've said they would do it all at one time.
No, I get that, but in my mind, like if Comcast is, say they're 40% done, right, and they start on the west side, couldn't Verizon come in behind them, theoretically?
Theoretically. That's the operative word.
Oh, I get it.
Okay. I believe it is 6:50 PM. It is. We can go ahead and get into the public hearing. We'll go ahead and open a public hearing. The Select Board will hold a public hearing on the application for a license for the storage of flammable and combustible liquids, solids, and gas pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 148, Section 13, submitted by the New England Laborers Training Trust Fund for the storage of a 3,610 gallons of liquid propane in a 4-120 gallon above-ground storage tanks. 3,000-gallon above-ground storage tanks, 4 80-pound tanks, the tank replacement and refill service, and 11 20-pound tanks, tank replacement and refill service. The property is located at 37 East Street as shown on Assessor's Map R20, Lot 10, Block 0. Elaine, you want to introduce this topic to us, please?
We're at 37 East Street, which is the Laborers Training Trust Fund campus. They've recently completed new buildings, new construction there. And these are new propane tanks that serve those various buildings. So there's, as you say, there's multiple tanks for storage of propane, and requires approval of the fire department and then approval of the select board. So the fire department has approved the tanks.
They have approved them. Any other public safety need to weigh in?
It's been reviewed by the permitting team, and we are all set in that regard.
Okay. Is the proponent here?
There's someone on Zoom. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Thank you. Thank you for speaking up. Sir, do you want to just kind of fill us in on what you're working on and the ask, please?
Sure. The laborers at 37 East Street have a campus on 135 acres of land. 2 new buildings have been constructed, and 2 buildings that were in existence from the 60s and the 80s have been revamped, dormitories and things of that nature. In that, some of the existing emergency generator systems ran on diesel and small propane tanks at those various buildings. They have been removed and reconfigured so that the ones that you listed, other than the 3 1000s, are simply reconfigurations. We have eliminated any diesel underground storage with this. We have Eversource gas running through the property to the buildings, but we do have one new addition, 3 1,000-gallon propane tanks, which are required for one of the buildings as an uninterruptible generator power source. That is the new addition to this. There has been propane at the laborers for the various buildings, as I indicated, and for welding and cutting classes, and also for some gas grills and things of that nature, in addition to some small handheld propane torches that you'd use to solder pipes or repair equipment. So really the only thing is the new 3 1,000-gallon tanks. They are located about 200 feet from the nearest property line, 100 feet from the building that they will serve, and that will be to serve the uninterruptible emergency power generator for that building. Happy to go through a diagram of this if you'd like.
I think we'll be okay without the diagram unless someone has a specific question. We can hold on that for now. Are you all set?
I am.
Okay, great. Thank you. Questions, comments from the board? Mrs. Ritterbusch.
So I don't recall us ever granting one of these before, so I guess I would love to hear from the fire chief, just that everything seems to be in order and he recommends approval.
Okay.
Good evening.
Hi.
This is just due to the quantity. That's, it pushed it over the requirement by state law that requires this license. Our fire prevention division's been down there since the beginning of the project. They've got all the flammable liquids in line. We've actually reduced some of the flammable liquids by going to these 3 tanks. So I'm very comfortable with this license.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Joe?
Fire department's good, I'm good.
Mary Jo?
I'm good if the chief is good. I have one little question, because being an assessor, are we up to date on the pilot program?
On the what?
Payment in lieu of taxes?
I'm not sure we have a set program for this location.
Excuse me?
I don't think we have a set program for this location anymore.
Why is that? Do we know?
Several years ago, there was a payment made, but I don't believe that exists any longer.
Set? Mm-hmm. Mr. Menon?
Yeah, just 2 questions. One is, I think Fire Chief answered it partially. What are the risk mitigation measures or certifications that we would need to maintain it going forward? And are we prepared for that from the fire department and then from the facilities of the training center?
I'm not sure what the question is. Are you saying like if there was a leak there? What's the...
Yeah, like is there a yearly or bi-yearly inspection that needs to be done to make sure there's no leakage or there's no risk imposed by the new storage?
Yeah, I believe that would fall underneath the plumbing inspector. The fire department just licensed the quantity.
The building inspector, sorry?
I think the plumbing inspector.
Plumbing, okay, from the town. All right, thank you.
May I comment?
Sure.
Yeah.
Several of the tanks are what we call transportable. So somebody like Maine Oxy would bring in many of those tanks, the smaller ones. The 120 gallons are filled by a propane truck that would visit the site, as well as the 3,000s from time to time. The laborers do have on staff a licensed plumber and gas fitter. So when the tanks are refilled or when they're filled on site, then the tanks are inspected and reviewed. At certain points in time, they exceed their lifetime usability and they have to be replaced. That's done by the provider of the smaller tanks as necessary.
It's very helpful. Thank you. My second question is more for Elaine, just to check. Would this incur any additional commercial equipment taxes for the town?
This is a nonprofit entity, so it's not.
That's right. Okay. Thank you.
All set?
Yep.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
No.
With that, and because it's a public hearing, are there any members of the public that would like to speak to the issue? Do we have any online, Amy?
There's one person online, but there's no hand raised.
Okay. Anybody want to speak to the issue of regarding the public hearing and the laborer's propane request? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chair,
Second.
Okay, second.
I'm confused. Mr. Murnau.
Mr. Chair, I move the motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, with the hearing now closed, we can go ahead and deliberate. Does anybody have anything further they want to add to this discussion?
Nope.
I'm good. Thank you.
Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve as found in the motions document there.
Mr. Chair, I move the motion to approve the request from
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah,
I move
where is
the-
it here?
for the application for a license for the storage of flammable and combustible liquids, solids, and gas pursuant to Mass General Laws, CH 148, Section 13, submitted by New England Laborers Training Trust Fund.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Do we-
Lane, do you see that motion in order?
Do we need to add the 3,610 gallons of flammable gas at 37 East Street? Just want to add that to the motion.
Thank you, Amy.
So we're going to add that to the motion, correct?
Yep, as amended.
Okay. And you're good with the amendment of that motion, Mary Jo? You're good with the motion, the amendment to the motion that included 3,600? Are you seconding it, Joe? Okay, you good with that?
Yep.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a motion and a second to approve the request, including the 3,610 gallons of flammable gas. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous and so carries. Okay, you are all set. Thank you very much for your presentation. And we can move now to item number 8 on the agenda. We're just a couple minutes early. Mr. Fire Chief can stay right there. We'll go with him first, since he is in the room. Jessica's going to come up and join us. And Elaine, if you could introduce this topic to those watching, please.
So the purpose of the discussion this evening is to set FY26 goals for both the fire chief and the police chief, and be goals that they'll be working on for the next fiscal year.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, with that, Fire Chief Doherty, would you like to walk us through what you propose to be your goals for FY26?
Excuse me. My first goal would be to do an interagency, collaborate with the police department to do a joint active shooter program and try to host more in-house training along with a hands-on exercise. Through the chair, do you want me to go through all three, or do you want to?
Yeah, hold on one sec, please. Elaine, I have the Chief Bennett's goals here, correct?
Correct, and Gary's were in the packet.
In the packet, okay, so I don't have the okay. All right, if you could just repeat your goals and just kind of, you're going to have to maybe articulate them a little bit more.
So I got to apologize. The goals that I sent to the board were actually my speaking notes. So when you read the packet, you'll get all.
So we know what you're going to say.
All the questions that I could think of, you would come up with me already there. My first goal was to collaborate with the police department to develop a joint active shooter response plan, increase interagency training, incorporate classroom instructions with a hands-on exercise.
Okay, so a joint active shooter plan.
With that, I also want to increase the amount of fire department training next year. I want to bring in both the tactical combat casualty care and along with the active attack integrated response.
As part of that first goal, or is that in addition, another goal?
This is the whole goal for the year.
I'm sorry?
It's all one. It's all part of the same goal.
Okay, got it. So increased training, yeah.
Next goal, or do you want some opposite?
Top.
Oh, okay.
You two can.
How would the board like to do this? Do we want to do them one goal at a time? Do we want to hear all the goals first, and then we'll kind of get into each one of them? It probably makes sense to give us all, and then we'll dig into it from there, okay?
The second goal is to continue reviewing and updating the department's SOPs. And my third goal was to develop and work with the union for a wellness program for the fire service, or for the firefighters.
A wellness program for the firefighters?
Yes.
Okay. And those are your three primary goals, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right. So with that, a joint active shooter plan with increased training in coordination with the police department, a review and update of the standard operating procedures for the department as a whole, and a wellness program for the firefighters.
Yes.
Did I get that correctly?
Yes.
All right, everybody got those three? Okay. All right, so why don't we do it one at a time? Mr. Clark, as the liaison, do you want to go first here and have a conversation with the chief?
Sure. I think, first, I appreciate you kind of putting these things into, like the SMART goal format and make it more measurable. I know it doesn't, in your line of work, especially your position, it might not line up easily, but I think a lot of these were, a step in that right direction. So I look, are we going just for number one first? Or are we going through all three?
I think we could go through number one first, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so before you walked in, we talked about this a little bit. It's kind of like an open item on it's a future board agenda item for us, is the shooter response plan. I think, as we've talked about with the police department, getting that cooperation between the two, specifically for me, the thing that jumps out is in conversations, unified command, right? How do we approach these things together? I think the training is a great idea to do that. So I think this is a great goal. My only question would be, is this something, and we talked about it a little bit, can you put kind of timelines on these things? Do you have targets, not like hard deadlines, but just goals? I think when we come back in, call it 6 months for mid-year reviews, which are a little bit more casual, is that something that, we can expect updates on by then, now? Just how are you thinking about it in that regards?
The biggest hindrance, or my biggest problem with this, is actually the funding.
Okay.
I do have some money budgeted for training next year. So each firefighter, we budget 16 hours of training optional. So we're going to say that training this year can only be used for one of these two topics. So that'll take either care of TCC or the air. I'm hoping with some of the other money that I can afford the other one, but that doesn't include the cost of the class. I'll have a better idea once July 1st comes around, because I'm meeting with the Mass Fire Academy to actually schedule one of the classes here. Once I have that, then I'll have a date that I can provide you for completion of one of the goals. The other one, I am in discussions with Natick Fire. They have multiple instructors for the combat care. I'm looking at possibly hiring them to do one class, then train some of my staff to be trained trainers to eliminate some of the additional costs.
So Thank you. So then, do you think right now, with the current budget, you can actually achieve this goal? Or do you need to wait till July 1st?
I would have to wait till the new fiscal year, but I will be able to achieve at least one of the two.
Okay.
My goal is to do both, and I think I'll be able to do it.
Okay, thank you.
All set? We're talking about goal number 1. I mentioned earlier when we were saying hello to Mary Jo and thanking her for her service, this is not an easy job. Here we are talking about an active shooter response, right? There's a lot of angst around these things for good and obvious reasons. Mrs. Ritterbusch, any thoughts for goal 1?
This sounds like a really good goal. I appreciate you putting it together. I was curious, because I know you have to focus on the police department, but like an active shooter response plan eventually is going to have to involve other agencies too, like the school staff, particularly. Like I was just hearing a podcast this weekend about this, and that sometimes there are many opportunities along the way to avert a school shooting, like if the counselor sees something, or the teacher, or the principal, and the principal has to know immediately what to do when everything happens. So later down the road, maybe not this year, will you have a tabletop exercise with the principal and superintendent, and maybe some representative school staff too?
That's definitely on the goal. Just last week, we did a emergency management exercise that involved all the department heads along with the schools. We did a weather event, but I know I have already reached out to Mass Maritime about having them come back again next year. And my goal was something along more like this lines.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for more of the officers and top line staff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Manon.
Yeah, no, I like this goal, and I think we learned quite a bit from the last one of the incidents that happened. So this is great. And I also like that you have a lot of measurable metrics. One quick question I had was, for the increased FD training, do you have a metric for how much you want to increase, or it's more accomplishing the listed training? Can you clarify that?
So every year we have our required training through the Fire Academy ISO. These 2 classes would be additional on top of our regular everyday training.
Oh, so these are the increase.
Yeah. So it's be a total of 32 hours, 16 hours for each class.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, I think that covers it.
Okay. Ms. Lafreniere.
Well, since we had that exercise earlier this year, and some people came and they complained and everything, I've been giving this a lot of thought, actually, and I just would like to see more exercises and more programs with the kids and the schools. Now I'm going to date myself and say, mainly because I remember going out in the corridor in my elementary school and putting my head between my knees and holding your hands over your head in case of bombs and things like that. So we survived it, and and came out of it pretty well. And I really think that what we need to do is develop programs that we can put in the schools to get the kids, sharpen the kids up ahead of time before anything could possibly happen, and just pray it doesn't.
Through the chair, just so you're aware that my community risk reduction fire prevention folks, they are in the schools all the time. They've actually trained, I believe, the whole sophomore class with Stop the Bleed. We've also just put Stop the Bleed kits by all the AEDs in the high school. And if we actually dig into this active shooter thing that's put out by AIR, NFPA, they have a whole community approach. So if we were to adopt this would get the schools, and youth and family services would get everybody involved, just not police and fire.
Okay. All set?
Yep.
I see more metrics. Thank you. I see more numbers. The budget will be a number. The number of folks that are going to be trained is a number. The percentage is a number. That's all good. So we talked, earlier, a couple months ago or whenever it was, about more metrics and things that we can clearly identify. And Joe brought up the notion and the concept around dates. So the dates is, I guess, the only thing I don't see. What is the target date to get certain things done by as we go through the fiscal year next year? So adding those dates into the plan here, I think, would be valuable. Okay. Okay, let's move to item number 2 then. This is to review and update standard operating procedures. Joe?
I feel like this is something that's got to be a regular goal, right? I know you did a lot of work last year with us, with standing operating procedures. So, I mean, to me, it's pretty straightforward. I think, what would you call out, or is there kind of overviews that you would explain to the public for like where you're focusing on some of these this year? Because you have numbers, which is great, but like, what's the focus?
My focus for the first 6 months is EMS. Right now, we have 2 policy books. One's paper, then one's in Lexipol. We are trying to merge everything into one policy, or one manual, I guess you would say. My goal is really to focus on EMS and to get 100% of that in by January.
Okay.
Perfect. I'm good.
Good?
Yeah, thank you.
Amy?
No, I think I'm all set.
Mrs. Frenier?
Well, unfortunately, I've had to use the fire department a number of times this year, ambulance and other assistance, and I just found them to be the most professional and wonderful to have, and I want to thank them, and the procedures, they follow the procedure, because I've asked them not to a few times. They said, oh no, we have to do this, and I said, okay. And I don't have any problems right now with the procedures. I think you're following them well.
Okay. I did have a question, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Okay, so some of the SOPs are in Lexipol and some are in binders. I assume Lexipol is the software system that you use?
Yes.
Okay, so the goal is to move them from the binders to the Lexipol as you update them?
Yes, and then what's a good thing about is once we get them into Lexipol, there's actually, we can verify that people have read them and signed off on them.
Oh, very nice, yeah.
It's tracking, and we can actually give you percentages of how much of the department's compliant. And then, right now, everybody has a binder, but if a policy changes, they don't print it out. Or do they have the most recent? Whereas if we have it all in one spot, digital, every firefighter and paramedic is working on the same set of policies.
No, I think this is an excellent goal. Like policies change over time, obviously, and it's hard to make yourself sit down and do those documentation, which is important, but takes time.
Okay. You good, Mary Jo?
Yep, I'm fine.
Mr. Manon?
Yeah, just one clarification. So from the NFPA standard perspective, is there a measure that we could also set as a goal in terms of coverage? So for example, if NFPA has, and I'm not an expert, 100 SOPs, with all these activities, are we going to be 100% or 90% with theirs? And second is if there is any certification also associated to this.
So NFPA is more of a consensus standard. They're just recommendations. We would kind of pick what is the best for our community. There's no way we could meet 100% of the NFPA or the ISO requirements unless we want to really quadruple the fire department's budget, because we'll never be able to meet the response times and that kind of stuff.
May not be necessary either. That's fair. Okay.
So we kind of look at the community and we try to say what's the best practice, what's all our neighboring communities do, and write our policies and off that type of NFPA standard.
That's great. Is there a way to do a peer review with any other, or comparative kind of measurement with another town?
So when we do like a policy, I will ask the other surrounding chiefs, but it's kind of hard because each department's a little different. We operate a little differently. Staffing levels are differently. Some run ambulances, some don't. So a lot of our policies are specific for Hopkinton. And that's like one of the things, even though Lexipol provides you like the framework, it's written for more like a big city where they have the same amount of firefighters on every truck every day, 24 hours a day. They don't do a lot of cross manning in their policies, where we really have to tailor every policy for Hopkinton.
Thank you for explaining that. But with all these, you feel comfortable that we would be at par or sufficient with the SOPs by end of the year?
For EMS, but the fire ones, it's just going to be ongoing as technology changes, as things in the world change. They just have to constantly be updated.
Makes sense. Thank you for explaining.
So Chief, on the second goal, I see more metrics here. Thank you. You've got 52 SOPs for EMS. You've got 29 in Lexipol for fire department SOPs and another 55 in binders. I suspect the binders are the policies that have been around the longest, right? So they're,
You don't want to ask the years to go back to the,
yeah, that's the good old-fashioned way of getting it done. My question is it your intention to review 52 plus 29 plus 55, which is 107 and 130, 40-something SOPs, or what is your goal in terms of how many of these you would actually review and then develop through that process, which I think you articulate well in your doc here, but how many of those do you plan on trying to get through?
the EMS, I'm planning on getting through all 52.
All 52 here, so 100, so your goal is 100%
Of EMS.
against that 52?
Yes.
Okay, and I see that,
So the-
okay, I see that there. How about the other two?
So the fire ones are kind of tricky because some of the stuff is just outdated, so we can delete it. But once we start working on something new arises, and I'm like, oh, we don't have a policy for that, so then kind of get sidetracked. Like when we talked last time, we talked about like the underground vaults. We never had a policy for that, so then that kind of took precedence, so we could do the training that. To answer your question, I could review them all, but to be able to update them and publish them, it's not possible to do all 55.
Okay, so would you be comfortable putting a number on what you think you could get through in FY '26, or do you want to come back to us with that? That's fine too. You don't have to do it tonight if you don't want to.
And I could easily get through, like, depends on like how much work is required. You'll see in here when I talked about like the policy development, it's a lot of like research, industry best practices. So it could take upwards of 20 hours plus to do them, one from scratch. I could easily do like 1 or 2 a month, but to do all 55, it's not feasible in 1 year.
Okay.
On top of the EMS ones.
Okay.
Looks like you might have said you could do 10%, maybe a year, depending.
Oh, yeah.
But he also already threw out the 52 targeting January, so that's a lot of effort there. So I feel like that's a strong goal, like a measurable goal, and then anything on the fire department side is great, right? Like anything you could give us beyond that is, I would consider successful.
Okay, do you want to try a number on that? Like, what do you think would be a reasonable number on the fire department side? 1 a month or 1 a quarter?
From what he just said,
I don't have a strong opinion,
From
but
what he just said, 1 or 2, I feel with already doing 52 in the next, what do you have, 7 months to do it?
yeah.
I feel like that's a lot already, so maybe 1 more a month. I think he said 1 or 2.
So do you want to go quarterly? If that's more feasible or manageable?
I can manage whatever the board would like. See, I'm very comfortable with the EMS ones because we update them on a regular basis every time the protocols come out. And I really authored a lot of them a few years ago. So I know they're really a lot of cut and paste, just update the links to certain protocols. That's going to be going pretty quick. It's when I get into the fire ones and we have to redo the research and is where the time comes into it.
What if we did 4 in FY '26 of each? 4 minors, 4 in the fire department, Lexipol. Would that work, Joe? Does that seem reasonable?
Chief, it sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah.
So then 4 quantity, not a percent 4 there.
And
So that puts a number on it.
Yeah, I think, through the chair, would these new or revised SOPs require training again or retraining?
It depends on the policy. A lot of the EMS ones is just evolving. As we bring new equipment on or something, we might put out a policy. So that would require training, like a town meeting. The town approved ventilation or pumps for the ambulance, vent pumps. So that would require policy and training.
That's what I thought. It might be a good idea to add that component in the verbiage as well, that whenever applicable, we'll also take care of the new training.
Okay. I think we're settled on the second goal. Everybody good? Yep. All right, and then the third goal, Chief, was a wellness program for the firefighters. I think this is a great goal. Let's talk about that for a couple minutes.
So this one is something I want to start working with the union to collaborate like a wellness program. We kind of just We're never really, not on the forefront, but we just kind of ignore all our pain strains and all that kind of stuff. We kind of turn a blind eye to the injuries. Like presently, we have 3 firefighters out IOD. So we have to look at them and like, what is causing these strains? What can we do to prevent them? So I'm thinking if we get into like a wellness program, not only does it do physical fitness, we can look at mental health along with some cancer reduction stuff that's starting to run rampant in the fire service.
Sure, makes total sense. Mr. Clark?
I mean, I think he described it in the packet really well. It's a difficult goal, right? If he's got to work through the unions, the other piece of this is, you know, the budget side, right? How do you kind of do some of these things? So, you know, I personally, after reading through this, felt like this was a tough one to make measurable, especially in the first year. So I think when I look at like what you can do in a year, you want to get the program off the ground, basically, right? You can't really have specific metrics for the firefighters and what they need to do from both the mental health and physical health and a screening and, you know, proactive approach. So I think he listed out nicely, and I don't know where else we would go from a metric standpoint, but I think it's a great thing for the department.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Sorry, go ahead.
After your first meeting that we met and you said to have everything quantifiable, I really struggled with this. Like Mr. Clark was saying, it's like, how do I put something to this, you know? Is it just simply as saying, hey, we agree on something with the union to start looking at this? Do we reach out to the members? We have members that have degrees in physical fitness and they're trainers. Like, how do I get them involved? So that was like trying to get the groundwork or like the vision was really what I was looking at when I wrote this.
Okay, great, thank you. Mrs. Ritterbusch, thoughts, questions?
I know this sounds like a good goal, but it sounds like it is hard to quantify. Like you're going to have to develop the program, get agreement and buy-in, and it's not necessarily free, everything you can do. So maybe by budget time, you can have some recommendations of things we could add if needed.
So as I look at this, there is some of the stuff that we could probably like quantify, like some of the cancer reduction stuff is all our firefighting gear right now has PFAS in it. We are trying to go to PFAS-free turnout gear. We've actually budgeted this budget cycle. You'll notice there was an increase of a couple $1,000s in that budget line to buy non-PFAS-free gear at the liners. But now we're running into the problem is the manufacturer it will not sell it to us because it's not holding up in the wash. So now, even though like we want to do these initiatives, sometimes the manufacturers and the designers are holding us back.
Okay. Mary Jo?
Well, I think that this is a really important topic. I like the idea of screening everybody from time to time. Now, I know we don't have a gym in the fire department, whereas I know some of the newer ones, I don't know, did Ashland put a gym in their department, the new building?
Yes, they did change the locker room out. They had modified that to put a gym.
And I know Natick has a nice one. They put one in when they built their new building. And can we do maybe some collaboration with other towns for the use of workout sessions?
The only problem if you do that on duty is it takes your people out of the response area.
I know it's hard to get everybody motivated, but it's worth it when you can. And I like the screening program. I like having blood tests and, you know, chest tests and all that sort of thing. I think that's a great idea.
Through the chair, a lot of that stuff is offered free through the state. It's just a matter of getting the employees to want to go. We did do skin cancer screening in the fire station, and we had less than 50% of the membership apply. Some fire departments are doing like life scans, they're doing ultrasounds on their members. And when you get that big, that's when the real cost becomes a factor.
Thank you.
Okay. Shadow?
Yeah, no, I definitely like the goal. I think this is very important, and this is a great start. And I know it's hard to quantify. I was just looking at it. The last one, the mental health resources expanded. Is there any program for mental health education or awareness? Maybe there can be a metric around that you'll have 3 such programs over the year with 30% participation, something like that?
Through the chair, the Youth and Family Services has been great to us. They offer the program. It's more getting people to show up.
Correct. So that would be the challenge for you, that make at least 30% show up over the year or something. Yeah, something to think about.
We just had our wellness fair at work the other day. We got 125 people here in Hopkinton, and I think we got maybe 30 to show up. So it's tough. They're busy. I mean, they've just got a million things going on, so.
Spending the time.
May I volunteer?
Sure.
The town has a wellness program for all employees, and we have our own budget through the town. We have a budget through our health insurance. They are increasing our budget through the health insurance because they recognize that the wellness of the employees is a driving factor around claims costs. But also on our side, it's engagement in many other aspects. I can also work with the chief around what resources we have at our disposal that can specifically target your population of employees.
Great. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
I love that. Yeah.
All set?
All set. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, I think this is a tougher one. I think it's the idea of introducing it and getting it going. You know, I'm kind of obsessed with the numbers around goals, but in this case, I understand what Mr. Clark's saying, what you're saying, so let's kick it off. I know we got to talk to our colleagues in the union and make sure we can work that all out, but I think it's a great idea, and we'll see how it plays out here in the next 12 months. Okay? All right. Any other general thoughts, comments from board members specific to the fire chief's stated goals? Is everybody comfortable with these goals and a couple of the modifications we made here tonight? Are we comfortable in voting on these goals this evening?
I like the last one.
Okay.
I think they look good.
Everybody's comfortable taking a vote, you think?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just how because I think the only thing we really fundamentally changed was like throwing in some dates and stuff. So I don't know if we captured that properly, but otherwise I think we were all in kind of agreement with where we're going with this. Chief, you feel that way?
Yes, sir.
So did you guys get the dates, the concept around the dates, and maybe adding the 4 for the 2 others, SOP categories, things like that? So if you can fine tune it, or we'll include those in a motion that says we'll approve these goals as discussed this evening. Please incorporate into your document, something like that. Does that work?
Yep.
Does that work? Does anybody want to make that motion or give it a go?
Move the motion to approve the fire chief's goals and objectives for FY26 as written and with the proposed amendments.
Second?
We have a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous and so carries. Okay, Chief, you've got yours.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your help and good luck.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay. The police chief,
He is on Zoom.
he's on Zoom. Okay, great. Chief Bennett, can you hear us out there? Can you see
Yes,
me?
I can hear you, Mr. Chair.
There you are. We see you now. Okay, great. You look like me at work, sitting in my car doing a Zoom. All right. Chief Bennett, if you were able to hear, we just went through with Chief Doherty, his goals for FY26. We have your document here in front of us, and we would ask that you walk us through your goals, and then we'll have some conversations probably about each one as we go through them.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I've identified 3 goals that I feel are important to the organization and support the moving the organization forward. The first is continued department-wide succession planning. The second is to enhance collaboration with town departments with emphasis on the fire department. And the third is to implement a Hopkinton Police K-9 program.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to speak to the first one in more detail, please?
Sure. An ongoing and as part of the organizational leader, it's important that I develop a succession plan that, and that's, but we all know that that's beneficial not only in the work done today as people are, their development happens, but it will also help in continuing years. So the three key points are finalize a training progression plan, continue command executive level training among command staff, and identify opportunities for all levels of staff to collaborate with other town departments. The first one, finalize a training progression plan. We understand what we want from to train our officers in at different levels. But I'd really like to have a really well-documented plan that where officers and sergeants and lieutenants and deputies understand that this is, if you move to the next level, you will be expected to, over a certain period of time, acquire that training. And I will use the command staff to develop that. And that those will be goals that are legacy goals as the organization moves forward. The executive level training, I want to set the priority of those training. I want to set targeted training above the current rank as well. So as I've discussed before, I want officers to be being exposed to the leadership concepts, and I want the sergeants to be exposed to more of executive management concepts, and the deputy to be exposed to roles, responsibilities, and concepts associated with being chief. And then the third part of that is to identify opportunities for all levels of staff to collaborate with other departments. I know that I've personally benefited from my work with other departments, going back down and all the way down to sergeant. We currently do that through HR, and they help with interviews and recruitment throughout the entire town of Hopkinton. I'd like to expand on that and get all levels of the team working with other departments, getting them to meet townwide team members and develop skills outside of that they're not taught at the academy, and understanding of what other departments focus on. I think, and I thinking while I was watching the fire chief, I had that benefit. I think would be reasonable for me to identify the professional development opportunities in the first quarter. I think it's essential that I do that. And then establish a central resource for training. I feel that those two items need to be established in the first quarter.
Okay.
Making a note. I think setting the priority training for each position and setting the targeted training above the current rank. I think that because it's more of a team effort, I think that I'd like to report back as that completed at my mid-year review. If you're comfortable with that. And then what I want to do is I did not like getting asked a question I didn't have an answer for. So I want to make sure that we have some system in place to accurately document all the training that is attended, how many hours it is, and how many officers on the key things are trained to that level. And you'll see an example of that when we speak to my other goal with a particular training that I want our officers to attend. But being able to know in a moment the number of hours each officer has attended in training year to date, and the status on their progression through the developed plan. And then for the identifying the opportunities for all levels of staff to collaborate, I need to do that in the first quarter by reaching out to other departments and seeing how we can work with them. And then the tracking will be an ongoing and continual thing of meeting attendance and number of people that participated in that particular task. That's what I have for that first.
Okay, so for the first one, which is continued department-wide succession planning, when we do them one at a time like we did with the fire chief, Mr. Clark, as liaison, do you want to go first, please?
Yeah, so Chief, I appreciate you kind of taking what we did with Chief Doherty on the timelines and kind of applying that for us. Because I think you took, with the succession planning, you took like a nice broad goal and you really got specific in how you're going to approach that. So I'm good. Thank you for kind of addressing it this way. No questions right now.
Mrs. Ritterbusch.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was good that you added in the timeline here when we were speaking about which ones can be done in quarter 1 versus which one will be mid-year review, and then obviously the documenting will be an ongoing process once you get it established, documenting the number of hours and training and participants. So I don't think I have any further questions.
Okay. Mr. Manon.
Yeah, no, I like the goal and the details that you have put out, Chief, especially now that you have succession lines. The training is going to be key to kind of help them prepare and solidify for future. One thing I was wondering, as you said, the priority training, is it possible to also add how much of it would be achieved through the year? So for example, set targeted training for each position and achieve 50% of the training proposed or planned or prioritized, sorry, something like that. That way we know that it's not setting the priority only, but also achieving part of that priority. Would that make sense?
Yes, I think once I start digging in and seeing what courses are available, I'll be able to go into those vendors, universities, and the training council and see their schedule, especially after July 1st. And then I could put some dates to that.
Sure. And do you think you have the budget to accomplish, or it would be probably a reverse? Based on the budget, you may have to set the goals as well.
Yes, I think I can work within the budget. I'm very comfortable with the plan that the town manager and the human resource director have established. I intend to meet with them and discuss how my goals for the succession planning could utilize the funding made available to the human resource department. And then I have a pretty solid training budget, and this would, as the fire chief said, these identified goals would be the priority for the training budget.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All set?
Yep.
Mary Jo, anything?
Well, I'm looking at this and it looks like a very thorough report, and I just think, I like this police department. I like the way it's moving. I like what it's doing, and I like the objectives, and I like the objectives to the fire department. I think they're both very good right now.
Okay, great, thank you. So Chief, on this one for department-wide succession planning and putting in those dates makes sense, and I appreciate you adding that to what you'll finalize, similar to Fire Chief Doherty. When it comes to the numbers for tracking training courses, the participants, the hours, things like that, is it possible to develop those numbers in the first 6 months of the year based on what you guys do in the first 6 months of the year? And then during a mid-year review, we could review those numbers with you, see if it's been an aggressive approach, it's been a little light, in terms of the numbers. I don't even know what the numbers will mean yet. But until we have some numbers, we can't really measure and sort of increase or decrease expectations and set goals around those numbers. So maybe if we can try and capture the numbers you do in the first 6 months, we'll do a mid-year review, and then we'll look at whether we want to increase or decrease expectations. Does that work?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great, thank you. Does that work for everybody, just in terms of gathering up some data. Okay, great. I think we're good there. So if we do that and take into account the other input from the board, I think we're all aligned on your first objective. Let's move to the second one, please, which was the enhanced collaboration with town departments with focus on the fire department.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, through the chair. Really excited, looking forward to doing this. I've met with the fire chief, and so have deputies, been a part of it. I'm really looking forward to these programs, especially as the fire chief spoke to finalizing a joint response, active shooter response plan with the fire department. I think we need to identify best practices and post standards and NFP standards, develop some procedures, and then train the staff on all those procedures. I think the policy development, I'm reluctant to push because I didn't ask Gary, so I would ask for the policies to be in place and trained in the first 6 months, if that's okay. I don't want to push it too much because we haven't consulted. So that's, if you're okay with that, Mr. Chair, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, if you want to walk through the rest of this particular one, then we'll weigh in on a couple thoughts probably.
Excellent. Conduct classroom and hands-on training with the fire department. So as Chief Doherty stated, we want to put together some training where we work together, and afterwards solicit feedback from the participants on the good, the bad, and the ugly of the training. And again, focusing on active attack integrated response. My goal through the year would be to have 75% of the SWAN staff trained in that active integrated response, and 25% trained in the tactical combat casualty care. I'm hearing that those are both. I know that active attack integrated response is 16 hours. I don't know if when the fire chief referred to the 16 hours for tactical combat casualty care, if he was referring to the instructor's course, so it may not be 16 hours for the instructors. But if it is because of the budget, I put that at 25% because of the overtime, the overtime impact. For me, the focus is really active attack integrated response. We have 6 or 7 EMTs in the department. Some of us have been trained in tactical combat casualty care already. And if the fire department is going for full training, I think we could make that more of a 2-year goal to get the entire department trained. So part of the alert program that created the active attack integrated response, there's a civilian response to active shooter training that some of our members are trained. I'd like a goal of training, having 4 people trained on staff. Within the first 6 months. It's not a big lift. It's an online course, and they provide all the teaching materials so that I could go into a senior leader meeting, and it's buildable. So I could spend, a period of time teaching the senior leaders what they should be doing in the event of an active attack. And their slogan is, because what you do matters. So I'd like to do 4 of those, have 4 instructors in the first 6 months, and then I'd like to host at least 2 events in the first 6 months and 2 in the second. And again, we'd solicit feedback from the participants to always looking to improve the delivery of the service. Through Youth and Family Services, Lieutenant O'Neill has trained some police, fire, and communications staff to teach nonviolent crisis intervention. And because I have, that involves other departments, I think I'd like to teach 2 sessions within the year. But within the first quarter, identify potential audiences, and then 2 per year. It would be a goal. I'd like to come back and be able to report with a higher number, but I'd ask to only commit to 2. And that's the goal, to enhance collaboration with town departments with focus on the fire department.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate, again, adding in the timelines. It was really helpful for some of these. Did you share the concerns or around the budget for some of this stuff that Chief Doherty did? He talked about, July 1st, having a better idea. Where do you stand with your training budget and how that plays into this?
Yep, I think I can meet this goal within my training budget.
Okay. So as you have it, like the 75% for the active attack, I get your theory too behind the 25%, so I appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, I'm interested, as Mr. Herr alluded to, as we approach kind of the mid-year goals and review, to kind of see the progress on this and how we're making. You've got a lot of stuff that you're going for in the first 6 months, so I appreciate the focus and the effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Ritterbusch.
Yeah, no, I appreciate this goal, and it looks like you and the fire department are both working on the same sort of plan and with the same goal in mind. So I think that's good that you're coordinating, and you'll be doing the community training and town staff training, because they would have to respond, obviously, in active shooter. They might be the first ones to know something's going on. So I think this all makes sense, but I appreciate the line being added.
Thank you.
All set. Mrs. Fernier.
You people are going to deal with it, so, but I think that this is an ambitious program, and I hope both departments do really well, and I like to see them accomplish what they set out to do.
Thank you.
Mr. Manon, anything?
Yeah, no, I echo the same. I think this is a great objective and very much needed for the next level of our readiness. So I appreciate that. And this also demonstrates the other hand of the handshake with the fire department. So this completes the picture, which is great. I also like the metrics that you have chosen and very comprehensive set of tasks and activities along with the timeline. So I think this is pretty well-written and good, great objective. Thank you.
A couple of thoughts. One, I think this is very thorough, and I do like the metrics, to your point, Mr. Manon, and adding in some dates and the number of participants for a couple of the categories will further, put some numbers out there for us to take a look at in 6 months. But to the citizen that's at home this evening, Chief, that's watching and is concerned for the safety of their kids, we're talking about developing this active shooter and response plan with the fire department, starting today and working on this plan going forward. But what do we say to the residents today that would say to us, well, don't you already have that in place? Isn't there already some training out there? Don't the police officers understand how to go into that school and take care of the situation today? Why do we have to, how would we respond to somebody like that?
Okay, so that's a great question. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to the public about that. So we're police officers. We're trained how to go into a room, a hallway, a stairwell, and engage a threat and hopefully neutralize it. That's core training for us. What we're doing is we're going to the next level where we're after this training is completed and the policies and everything is developed, what we're going to be able to do is go into go in as the police and create warm zones where instead of waiting till the whole situation is over, the entire building may have to be searched and all that happens, where we can go in, officers coming in to the scene behind us will go to a staging area. They'll be assigned two officers, 2 firefighters ideally, and they'll go to the warm zone. The officers will provide protection for the medics while they begin treating the wounded. After that, we'll develop a casualty collection point and a plan for bringing in the ambulances and getting people out of there. So this is really next level working together stuff. But the other thing I'd really like to add and echo for the fire chief is prevention is key. We can train to respond, and we will respond, and we are very well equipped and very, very well trained today. But the prevention is the key. Tragically, in most shootings and hostile events, there's some sign or on social media, or there's some people may have felt that worried about that person, or some very extreme dramatic thing happened in their life. So I want people to know that you can express concerns. We have care teams to help with emotional problems. We have access to the ability to reach out to the Fusion Center and look for other social media or any posts. So we can work to prevent ahead of something, and that's the work we really would rather do. I think we can all agree on that.
Is that part of the civilian response, or is that part of, that's different in terms of prevention, and this provides civilian response active shooter training to town staff and community members? Are those two separate things?
No, that will be incorporated. There will absolutely be a module on that so people leave the meeting knowing that just because you call the police and say, I'm worried, I saw this post, it doesn't mean we're going to go get our rifles and shields and tanks and go to the person's house. That's not going to happen. And we've done it. We have this threat assessment goes on all the time, continually. The school has teams that have developed. Presently, I sit on the Mass Chiefs Threat Assessment Development Commission, working to try to make a standardized threat assessment. So there's lots of work being done on this. And again, if you see something, say something. It's core to preventing these types of things.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think we are all aligned on enhancing the collaboration with town departments with a focus on the fire department, and I guess the word enhance probably makes a lot of sense now that I had that conversation with the chief. So we're doing these things, but we want to enhance what we're doing. And you'd incorporate the dates and a couple of the metrics that we talked about here this evening in your final doc, right? And then lastly, for number 3, which is implement the Hopkinton Police K-9 program. We have been here in the past, and we ended up losing our K-9 to, I think it was Milford at the time. But maybe if you can walk us through this one, please.
Sure. So focusing on the future, I'd like to bring a police K-9 back to the department. And that would require identifying a budget and funding sources, develop a standard operating procedures, select a handler, select the dog and needed support, train the handler, and then as part of ongoing metrics going forward, document the hours of training, document the number and hours of deployment, and document community feedback. As part of the dog's certifications, the documentation of the training hours is part of maintaining the dog certification, and documenting the number of deployments is all part of. It's a must do in the program. But I knew that we would have conversations about metrics. So if I go back up to the top, identify the budget and funding sources necessary. That's has a sense of urgency, and I would want to see that done by 8/1. That's a must do in that calendar year by 8/1, probably even sooner. Develop the standards and operating procedures. It takes 10 weeks to train the dogs, so I would say that, we can't have a dog in a car working around without it. So that based on when the dog's going to go to the academy, I would say 5 weeks prior to the dog coming online. And I was never a canine handler, so I'm kind of winging it here. Selection for the handler. We have put the feelers out to see if anybody is interested, and we have some interest, some good strong interest. So I mean that's like, again, by 8/1 at the latest, and that's before I look at when the next Canine Academy is. It may have to happen, next week, but just without that data here in front of me tonight, I would ask for an 8/1 timeline. Select a dog, purchase the dog, ensure adequate housing, identify a veterinarian, identify boarding vendor. I'm being told there's 2 vendors. That's quick. Purchasing the dog can happen quick. Ensure adequate housing, identify a vet. I think that all can be done pretty quick. I would say that has to be like, I mean, we have to have the adequate housing in place prior to the dog arrival for buying the dog. And the rest of them, I'd put a pretty fast date on that of 8/1. And then I'd say 8/1 for training the handler. The first 2 items of identify the training program and select the program. I'd say that's 8/1, but again, it's probably going to happen much faster. I'm just, not set myself up for failure. Send the handler to training. That's based on their schedule. So I'm hoping to come back. I would be very happy if I could come back to my mid-year review and have already introduced a dog to the board and begun introducing the dog to the community before my mid-year. That would be amazing.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Clark.
Thank you for walking us through that. A lot of variables here. I think that the biggest thing is all of these things kind of fall dependent upon, the budget and the funding source, right? So like that to me is, without getting that finalized, and I would just want to know over the next couple of weeks, like what that process looks like in more detail. And we can talk about this offline and stuff, but like that is the critical piece. Everything else kind of falls in line after that. And I think there's some variability based off when the dogs are available. Like they don't just have puppies being born every day. And then the training and stuff. So however, we can work to figure that piece out. I think the rest I think you'll have better timelines right after that from your, thorough description. But I mean, overall, I'm extremely supportive of this. I've got an 8-month-old shepherd puppy that my wife would gladly donate to the department, I think, right now. So happy to see this one move through.
Thank you.
That's funny. Okay, thank you. Amy?
Yeah, I think I'll echo what Joe said, that the building the budget is the important part. Do we expect that we have the money for this, or these are grants available?
Yes, there's a grant from the Stanton Foundation, and I'm pretty confident that we will, once we apply, we will be awarded it.
Okay, and that's the same foundation, I think, that donated to the dog park, too. Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, once the funding is in place, it seems like you sound pretty ready to move forward. And I do remember one of the Academy candidates mentioned to us when we interviewed him that he wondered if we had a canine program because he'd be interested. But I don't remember now who it was, but yeah, but I appreciate the level of detail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Jo?
Well, I am a big proponent of these dogs. I worked with the state police dogs on the marathon for many years, getting up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to meet them. They amazed me at their snapping to attention, and they're just going about their business. They're fantastic. I love these service dogs. I watch every documentary I can find. I love the beagles that work the airports. They're so capable, and they're an amazing asset to any team. And I would back this program 100%.
Thank you.
Mr. Manon.
Yeah, I love this program, and certainly the benefit is obvious. And thanks for all the details. This is a very comprehensive approach, so I appreciate that, and love the K9 program. We see it in the airports, and they're very efficient, makes us wait less and less time. And once I remember, my daughter, by mistake, picked up a banana from Sydney coming into US, and the dog picked it up here. So that was very efficient, and it's always helpful and keeps us safe and gives us the more assurance of safety. So thank you for doing that. And through the chair, I just wanted to bring up, since we have 3 goals for the year, there is another goal that I was gonna also put out for everyone's consideration, only because if we have to choose 3, is there something that we can consider now or in near future? That would be the only other thing, and otherwise, this is great goal and as it is. So when you feel the time is right, I can talk about the other goal I was thinking about.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's finish this 3rd one, and then we'll make sure we're all on the same page, and then you can introduce that one. I don't think we have to limit it to 3, do we?
No, it just has to be realistic.
I'm sorry. Hang on one sec, Chief. Sorry, go ahead, Jessica.
It just has to be realistic to be able to accomplish all of them in the timeframe.
Okay, gotcha. Got it. Chief, you wanted to say something about that comment?
I like 3. But I'll do as you wish.
Well, we'll see what the 4th one is, and then we'll decide if it's in or out. Okay. My thoughts on the dog are, I think it's a great idea. I liked when we had, was it Kodiak or Titan a few years back. I was bummed out to see when he moved on. I guess all employees always run the risk of moving on, including our dogs. I thought that police dogs, though, live with their handler, and the housing would not be necessarily a concern or a delay.
It's not a huge lift, but if the handler is going to need a kennel, so they do live with the handler, but there would be a necessity for a kennel.
Okay, fine, I got you, that makes sense. All right, and I think, putting the dates in, it sounds like you got a very aggressive stance and approach to this whole situation with a lot of 8-1 dates that I noted here. So we'll want to, if we're going to do it, and I know the town's done it before in the past, and I think it was a welcome addition to the team. Let's get on it. Okay? All right, so with that, let's go back to Mr. Manon. He had a suggestion for a possible 4th goal.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Chief. These are great. I'm really happy to see how the department has stabilized. You have a great department. We have huge respect for your leadership and the department, and I think with the recent hires going to the full hiring stage and also the succession plan, we are at a really good state for the police department, and thank you for the leadership for that. Now, the 4th one I was thinking, now that we are at a stage where we can focus on some of the other areas. One was that, and I'm a data guy, so I was doing some research and I found there is a police data transparency initiative that was launched by the U.S. Department of Justice, I believe in 2020, and that's pretty much what you all do and capture, but having it more visible and more transferable and communicatable for the public in terms of the transparency and accountability of the police department, which I've seen a lot of the logs that you have, a lot of the data time to time you cover does provide that. So the goal I was thinking is something along those lines to improve the data availability, public communication, transparency, and on the police activity accountability, to that extent. And something as simple as, all the information that you already provide through your logs and others, maybe having, I was thinking like 2 or 3 KPIs, and my battery died before I could finish that. But if I remember them correctly, the first one I was thinking was building a dashboard with, the number of incidents, the number of complaints, and number of resolution, maybe quarterly or bi-yearly, and having it available for public. Another could be along those lines, just overall, police operational activity related metrics. And again, this is more just for communication, because through the day-to-day activities and all that, the police department, I think, achieves a lot, and people don't always realize how much it takes to be one of the safest town in the nation, knock wood. And this will also give opportunity to shine the police department, all the hard work that you all put in, and also help people understand. And the third benefit is, based on that, we can try to baseline or benchmark all the good things that you are doing, and time to time calibrate around the success and the improvements. So I'll pause there, and again, this can be farmed up a little more if we all want, something along those lines.
Chief, your thoughts on implementing a dashboard that calculates or reports out the data around the police department activities?
I think we're always trying to communicate, right? And figuring out the best way is a key part of my job. I think it's I had not heard of that. I'm looking forward to doing some research into it, and having a central place where you can get identified key metrics. And I actually think it's a great idea. We do it and to some scale on social media, but if you're not on social media, we need to bring that to our website, I think, or somewhere that doesn't require you to be on Facebook. So I think as long as the ask is attainable or reasonable, I think we could definitely look at that, and should.
Okay. Mr. Clark, your thoughts as liaison of the police department?
I'm struggling a little bit with, I'm more of a visual person. So I think like everything I heard from him was like good data, good things to, put in place. I'd have to kind of see like what the dashboard kind of looks like, all the metrics, because the police department, like to the chief's point, through social media does some good stuff. I just pulled up one of their, they pulled up like their April summary. It's got calls for service, motor vehicle accidents, traffic enforcements, arrests / court summons, and directed patrols. So we've got some of the data there already being tracked. So I would just need to see a little bit more. I think the idea is good. I think it's great. I think it would benefit. But at this point, I'd need a little bit more time to see it out.
Okay. Amy?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Like, I am really supportive of police data and transparency, public data dashboards, but I don't want to spring anything on the two chiefs too much tonight. I don't know if we could ask the two chiefs and the town manager to think about if something like this could be done in realistic win before we add a fourth goal. And then I like you said, there is a lot of data on the Facebook social media posts. And also I think the previous fire chief, Bill Miller, showed me with some new software he has, they have an ability to track a lot more data than they used to too. So I don't know if that might fit the bill for what we're looking for. So I guess I'd recommend we ask them to come back with that outside of the 3 goals, maybe.
Okay. Mary Jo?
Well, I think it's a good idea, but I also think sometimes, I don't know if I want everybody knowing what the police department is doing every minute of every day. That's kind of defeats some of the purpose, but for more transparency, I think it's good, but I wouldn't want somebody planning things around what we know the police department is doing every day.
Okay. So my thought is, and it's just an initial reaction, I would replace the word implement to investigate. In other words, let's check it out. I think it's a great idea, and I live on a dashboard at work and a balanced scorecard, and I can look at every metric in the company in 2 seconds and see where we're doing well and see where we're not. We got speedometers and the whole 9 yards, so it really looks like a dashboard. Things are going great, it's green. Things aren't going great, it's red. We have that sort of quick analysis, if you will. But maybe we could investigate what packages are out there. I'm sure there's a software package for a police data gathering and reporting out approach. And let's investigate what they are. And if it makes sense, then we could come to adding that as a goal maybe at mid-year, or if not, in FY '27. Does that work?
That sounds great. Yeah, I think that's a great insight. This is more to initiate the discussion and maybe exploring and coming up with a proposal or idea of some kind that is implementable. And I can also work with Joe, work with the chief, hopefully getting the opportunity. But to kind of look at, the DOJ has a white paper and resolution that gave some of the framework around this, and those are, again, something as a research item could be part of it. I like the idea.
So let's take that as a sort of a one-off, conversation between the select board, town manager's office, police chief's office, and even the fire chief for that matter. And let's investigate what we can maybe pull together and look at a date in the future when we implement something like that. But for now, we'll stick with investigate and leave it off the current list of 3, if that's okay.
That makes sense.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. With that, we've covered the 3 goals for the chief. We've put some dates in there, got a couple more metrics in there. So similar to the fire chief, are we comfortable in adopting these goals for the chief for this year?
You want a motion now, or are we discussing?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I would move to approve the FY26 goals for police chief as modified to represent, we had times on each of them. There was a lot of, Q1, first 6 months, 8-1 for the K-9. So all those things that we documented as such.
Second.
So we have a motion on the table and a second to adopt the modified or, goals per the discussion this evening. Any further discussion on the motion?
Nope.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is unanimous and so carries. Okay, Chief, so we're good there. Thank you for your time. Good set of goals here. Let's make sure we document those dates and the other sort of metrics that we talked about in this meeting. And we look forward to a mid-year review, not to rush our lives here, but we'll get to it at some point, and we'll see how things are going.
Mr. Chair, thank you, and thank you to the entire board, and on behalf of the department, thank you, Ms. Lafreniere, for your 4 decades of service. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, next up is item number 10, I believe. So make sure we got through everything else. Good. Next item up is to go into an executive session. So with that, in the manner in which the motion is written, I would ask that Ms. Lafreniere read that final motion here this evening.
Real nice of them.
I move to enter into executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to consider strategy with respect to negotiations for police, fire department, DPW, and dispatch unions. B, pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to consider strategy with respect to negotiations with non-town union personnel, non-union town employees, police chief, fire chief. Okay, Section C, to approve executive session minutes. Section D, to allow Elaine Lazarus and Lance Del Fiore, to participate in the executive session, not to come back to open session to convene. So
We will be adjourned at the end of executive session.
Second.
Ms. Lafreniere's career will be adjourned at the end of executive session.
That's right.
We have a motion by Ms. Lafreniere, we have a second by Mr. Clark. Is this a roll call because it's executive
Amy
session?
Ritterbush, yes.
Amy Ritterbush, yes. Joe Clark, yes.
Shahid Wanan, yes.
Mary Jo Lafreniere, yes.
Brian Hurd, yes. We are adjourned to executive session. Thank you all. Have a good night.